cluster of leaks that has seized Washington, D.C. The Attorney General saying leak investigations have tripled under President Trump. And Sessions fired a warning shot at the national left-wing media as well, saying the government is reviewing policies that compel journalists to reveal their sources. Sessions' announcement comes a week and a half after President Trump criticized the Attorney General, saying he had been weak on intelligence leakers. Fox News correspondent Doug McElway at the Justice Department with our report.
Good evening, Lou. It is no secret that the president has been absolutely infuriated by the number of leaks coming from his administration and from the national security apparatus. Well, today, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Director of National Intelligence promise they will leave no stone unturned to crack down on leaks.
This nation must end this culture of leaks. We will investigate and seek to bring criminals to justice. We will not allow rogue anonymous sources with security clearances to sell out our country.
And in a controversial step, Sessions also announced that reporters who are the recipients of leaks will not be immune.
One of the things we are doing is reviewing policies affecting media subpoenas. We respect the important role that the press plays and will give them respect, but it is not unlimited.
That drew a swift rebuke from the Reporters Committee for the Freedom of the Press, whose president said in a statement, quote, "What the Attorney General is suggesting is a dangerous threat to the freedom of the American people to know and understand what their leaders are doing and why." Sessions also indicated that the crackdown on leaks is already underway, with the number of active investigations now triple what they were during the latter stages of the Obama administration. Still, many see this as only a symbolic step. The reality is that the more people who have access to classified information, the more likely that the leaks will happen. In fact, in 2014, the Office of Management and Budget suggested that 5.1 million Americans are eligible for security clearances. That's 1.5% of the population. While only a small percentage of that group would ever likely to leak anything, it's still a huge number. It makes the Department of Justice's task almost impossible. Lou, that's it from the Justice Department. Back to you.
Appreciate it. Doug McElway reporting from the Justice Department. Our first guest tonight says there are already clear trails to those leakers, but there's been no political will to do a real intensive investigation. Joining us tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, Senior Fellow with the London Center for Policy Research. Tony, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Lou.
This has to be encouraging to all who are dismayed at what has become a nation's capital,
Right.
filled with those who are revealing the country's classified information, its secrets.
Right, and let's pick up where Doug left off there. Look, I disagree with Doug on one point. It's not nearly as insurmountable as he's making it out to be. Information is like blood. It flows. You can trace where it goes. You can put dye in it and follow it. And one of the notable things about this, Lou, obviously, is, better late than never. I think it's great that we're finally stepping up. The Attorney General's finally stepping up to do this. But some of the first places he has to look is his own FBI. I was told by an FBI insider the other day that one of the guys who's been leaking for sure is their very attorney. One of the FBI attorneys who worked for Comey is one of the leakers. So that would be one of the first places you go great guns to do this. The other thing, Lou, I'm sorry, I respect John Kelly. I think he's going to try to do a great job of getting things under control. But less than 2 days after he's there, you see the leaks of very sensitive conversations the president had with overseas leaders. So again, there's a finite number of people who had access to that, and I'm pretty sure we know where they're at. So this is something that we should, you can't do everything at once, but for goodness sake, you have to go over after those who have done the most direct and measurable damage to national security immediately. And I think that's what you should be doing.
Now, I have to tell you, Attorney, I am heartened that the Attorney General finally seemingly awakened from what has been a months-long slumber.
Yes.
And is now talking about leaks and investigating them. Triple the number of the Obama administration at the end. I don't think that's a particularly meaningful number, because we know that the administration of President Barack Obama was the most intensive fighting leaks and maintaining a government that was anything but transparent,
right,
to the point that many reporters were surveilled themselves and reacted accordingly.
Right.
Let's turn to the other issue that this president is dealing with, even as he's contending with these leaks from the intelligence community, his own staff, and the White House. The Mueller grand jury. Suddenly there are leaks rolling out of the Mueller investigation as special counsel, and the president has been utterly, in my judgment, betrayed by the Republican leadership of the Senate, the Republican leadership of the House. Speaker Ryan, Majority Leader McConnell have just given a free rein to all who would attack the president, and particularly through this ridiculously partisan special counsel.
Right.
What does he do here?
Well, look, I think he's down to two groups of people who support him: the Trump supporters and those who are loyal to their oath of office, no matter their political affiliation. It seems like everyone else is joined this lynch mob. Lou, he fires Mueller, period. If there is something there, I think you need to bring in another former Attorney General. Mulcahy, I respect former Attorney General Mulcahy tremendously. I think he is,
by the way, as do I, and does the entire country. Anyone who knows the man knows his character, his principles, his integrity.
I spoke to him several times about this and other issues, and Lou, he has no bone to pick with anybody. He will clearly try to define what exactly is illegal here and go from there. I don't see that here because Mueller seems to be pulling all these lawyers who were big Clinton donors, big supporters of the other side. And Lou, I'm sorry, that to me clearly demonstrates a conflict of interest. You cannot have someone with that level of conflict of interest.
You can do anything you want, Tony, as you know, if you have a Republican leadership in the House and the Senate who are working against this president and trying to subvert right along with the Dems, the left, and the deep state, this president's administration.
Right. But I think here, Lou, the president should do it. And look, again, Mulcahy has respect of those bodies no matter what.
Well, those are two different issues. One is firing Mueller and then replacing him. We still have the matter of an investigation that looks to be pretty clearly, as Greg Jarrett has said on this broadcast a number of times, we need at least one more, perhaps two more, special counsels just to investigate, for crying out loud, Hillary Clinton, her email scandals, the Clinton Foundation, the transfer of 20% of...
Why does the sword reveal itself now?
Let me show you.
Arise, King Arthur.
Own King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
The Clinton Foundation, the transfer of 20% of U.S. uranium assets to a Russian-owned entity. And the pay-for-play with $500,000 speaking fees to the former president, Bill Clinton, while her wife was making decisions that were obviously heavily in the favor of the Russians.
Right. Oh, I was talking to a nuclear expert today, Lou. We have to go to the Russians now for uranium for our own nuclear plants. It's completely insane, and that's an outgrowth of the very corruption we're talking about. And yes, I think you need to have another council, separate council, looking at this.
Do you find it amazing that the Republican leadership again, Mitch McConnell, the leader in the Senate, and Paul Ryan, the Speaker in the House, they haven't even suggested that they would be curious about the possibilities of collusion between the Clintons and the Russians, even though the evidence and the path is vividly clear to all who will look.
Well, there's two reasons. One of two reasons. Look, first, they could be part of it. I'm not putting it past those guys of having had some level of contact with the Clintons and that we're ready to give them a pass. I mean, we have to remember that
are you saying Ryan and McConnell paid off as well, or are you talking about Russians?
I'm talking about the fact that there's one of two things. They don't care, or they're in the tank for them. That's it. And so I think in this case, what you're seeing is the larger bureaucracy, to include all Republicans who, the Ryan and McConnell, simply don't, they want what they have, which is control. They don't care about anything else.
Then you have the chairs of the Senate Judiciary and the House Judiciary Committees and the ranking members who are being at least reported to by the special counsel, Robert Mueller. But again, there has been no sign of any constraint or a suggestion that the many conflicts that Robert Mueller brings to this job have to be dealt with. And so long as we are watching the silence of the Republican leadership on Capitol Hill, this president is at risk.
Right.
Colonel Tony Schaefer, as always, great to have you here, Tony.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here, sir. Thank you.
We're coming right back. Much more straight ahead. Stay with us. The Justice Department cracking down on the criminal leaks attempting to subvert the president's administration.
I have this message for our friends in the intelligence community. The Department of Justice is open for business, and I have this warning for would-be leakers: don't do it.
We take up the hunt to find and prosecute those criminal leakers. Deputy Assistant to President Trump, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, joins us here next. And American workers are winning under our president. More than 1 million jobs have been created since Mr. Trump took office. We'll talk about the roaring Trump economy here next. Stay with us.
Maria Bartiromo and Leon Panetta.
President Trump today touting a strong jobs report, adding that he's, quote, only just begun. The economy added 209,000 jobs last month. The unemployment rate fell to 4.3%. That matches a 16-year low. And the share of Americans in the workforce also rising. Labor force participation, that rate ticking higher to 62.9%. Hourly wages rose as well, and significantly so, up 2.5% from a year ago. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has imposed, we're told, something of a military style of discipline to the West Wing during his first week as Chief of Staff. According to the Wall Street Journal, the retired four-star Marine general expects staffers to show up early, make appointments to see the president, and keep their bickering out of the Oval Office. These new rules apply, apparently, to everyone. Even the president's daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner, they now report to General Kelly along with everyone else. For more on the new era at the White House and what is next for the Trump administration and the president's agenda, we're joined by Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President. Great to have you with us, Dr. Gorka. This has been, I know, a week of change, and I would hope a sense of improvement. What is it like to have a new Chief of Staff? And give us your sense of what difference John Kelly makes.
Well, Lou, I worked for 2.5 years at Quantico at the Marine Corps University as a professor. It's great to have a man of this stature, a legend, come into this building. We're sad that he left DHS because in the last 6 months he has done incredible things. We haven't even begun to build the wall in earnest, and thanks to the leadership of General Kelly, or Secretary Kelly, and the President, 73% drop in illegal migration. That just speaks for itself. But to have him inside the building, that steady hand on the tiller of the Chief of Staff's office, that's great news, Lou.
Well, great news as well this morning on unemployment, the unemployment rate, as well as a number of new jobs created. The Trump jobs machine continues to churn, if I could put it that way, and I'll bet you won't mind that I do. It is really a remarkable period since he was elected to see the direction of the economy. The new Chief of Staff, you, all of the other advisors to the President have got to be elated by what you're watching happen in the economy.
Look, you are the maven, you are the doyen of business news in America. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but the lowest unemployment for 16 years. 200,000 jobs just in the last month, 1 million jobs since we came into office. That's the real news. Ignore the fake news, the miasma of propaganda. Americans know when we hit another record in the stock market, that's good for everybody's pensions. That's good for all 401ks across America. That's the MAGA agenda, making America great again and prosperity for all. Just one thing, Lou.
Sure.
He wants everybody to prosper. He doesn't care whether you voted for him or not, or whether you didn't vote at all. If you're an American, he wants you to prosper and to succeed. And that's his message, and that's the last 6 months.
Yeah, and he's made that clear on the campaign trail throughout. And certainly as president, he is insisting that prosperity reach all Americans. Let's talk about some of the detractions, if you will, the distractions from all of the great news. And that is these leaks that Attorney General Sessions today said he now has triple the investigations as in the latter days of the Obama administration. It's a huge problem. The Attorney General referring to our friends in the intelligence agency, telling them, I mean, it seems incredible to me. An Attorney General has to say to people in the intelligence agencies, stop leaking.
Lou, I was in a lengthy meeting with the Attorney General today, and we discussed these issues at length. Let's just look at the facts and figures. If we just look at leaks in general, we have had a 7-fold increase, not twice as many, 7-fold increase in comparison to the Bush years or the Obama years. If we look at just criminal referrals, so the most serious of the serious, we have a multiple of 5 of criminal referrals in the first 6 months of this year when it comes to leaking, as opposed to the whole of 2016. This is serious. This endangers you, Lou. It endangers me. It endangers all Americans. When a president of the United States can't have a private phone conversation with another head of state, that is national security subversion, Lou. Nothing else.
And that subversion taking this form, and I was reassured after listening to the Attorney General that he is going to go after these leakers with great energy. I am dismayed that this president has to do all that he's accomplishing while this is happening with the leakers in the intel community, and at the same time a subversion effort on the part of the Dems, the deep state, and even part of the Republican establishment are attacking the administration, trying to subvert the will of the American people and this president. There's going to, at some point, have to be a reckoning with Robert Mueller, the heads and the ranking members of both the Judiciary Committees in the House and the Senate, as well as the leadership of the House and the Senate, who are not supporting this administration.
Lou, let's put this into perspective. Let's look at the bright side of all of these things. It is a testament to this great nation, the greatest nation on God's earth, that after 8 years of the last administration, we won. That Donald J. Trump managed to save this nation from the catastrophe that was leading from behind, that was strategic patience, the maelstrom in the world that was created. Similarly, that we have achieved so much in 6 months, despite the resistance from the outside and the inside. I think that's a testament to the leadership of the president. But you are right. When a Democrat member of Congress says it is a disgrace that this transcript was leaked, you know there's a problem. But you know how serious AG Sessions is. He has told his deputy, the Deputy Attorney General, he's told the head of the National Security Division that this is their priority, and the FBI has been told to prioritize the classified information leak investigation. And everybody knows this is a man of his word, and he will get to the bottom of it. Even General Kelly this morning held an all-hands meeting right there in the EOB across from the West Wing to all the staff, and he said, if you leak, there will be consequences. And he used that famous phrase from World War II, loose lips sink ships. And I would not test that 4-star general, and I would not test the President of the United States.
All right. Dr. Sebastian Gorka, great to have you with us. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
And continued success.
God
Thank
bless.
You too. Be sure to vote on our poll tonight. Should Robert Mueller shift his investigation from the silly charges of Russian collusion to clear outright corruption on the part of the Clintons?
Yes.
We thought we'd condense this just a bit so everybody could deal with the reality that is before us. Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Follow me on
vote
Twitter
yes.
at Lou Dobbs. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at Lou Dobbs Tonight. On Wall Street, stocks closing higher on that strong jobs report. The Dow gaining 67 points. That's right. 8 straight days of record high closes for the Dow.
Damn.
The S&P up 5, the Nasdaq up 11. Volume on the big board still above 3 billion shares on a Friday in August. 3.2 billion. For the week, the Dow up more than 1%, the S&P up a fraction, the Nasdaq posting a loss on the week. How did that happen? How did that happen? There will be consequences. A reminder to listen to my reports 3 times a day, coast to coast on the Salem Radio Network. Up next, former Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch claiming her tarmac talk with former President Bill Clinton was just about grandchildren. And as a matter of fact, the Obama administration denied that there was anything, well, any kind of record of the matter. So why has the Justice Department now released all of these pages, and most of them redacted beyond recognition? We'll have the full report for you on Clinton collusion and absolute corruption. Here next. New documents raise questions about the FBI response to the June 2016 tarmac meeting between former President Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Fox News Chief Washington Correspondent James Rosen with our report.
Word that Attorney General Loretta Lynch met privately with former President Bill Clinton on a Phoenix tarmac on the evening of June 27, 2016, when the FBI was determining whether to seek an indictment of Hillary Clinton for her private email server, leaked out the next day. Newly released documents show the first inquiry about the tarmac meeting from ABC News led an alarmed Justice Department press officer to email 2 of her colleagues less than a minute later, saying, "We need to talk."
Our conversation was a great deal about his grandchildren.
By early evening, Lynch had answers ready about the event that soon forced her to withdraw from the decision-making process on Hillary Clinton. Yet the talking points Lynch's aides generated for public consumption somehow remain redacted in the 400 pages obtained in a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed by the American Center for Law and Justice.
When we filed this FOIA request back in July, the FBI quickly responded, this is the FBI under Jim Comey, that they didn't have any documents.
Those sections not redacted reveal the early apprehension of Justice and FBI officials as the tarmac story achieved liftoff and their determination to keep Lynch in the loop. Within an hour of ABC's inquiry, the Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs, Peter Kodzik, was added to the thread, and a DOJ aide welcomed a statement prepared for Lynch by telling 6 colleagues, "We'll show this to the AG now." 2.5 hours later, the same Lynch staffer wrote 2 others to say, "Can you email the AG to let her know the plan?" ACLJ executives told Fox News they intend to press their lawsuit to obtain unredacted copies of these documents. The Department of Justice did not respond to our request for comment. Lou?
Amazing. James Rosen, thank you very much. We're coming right back with much more. Now come new warnings about North Korea. Apparently North Korea could soon develop a hydrogen bomb.
There is no future where North Korea holds nuclear weapons or the ability to deliver those nuclear weapons to anyone in the region, much less to the homeland.
General Jack Keane joins me here next to talk about the Trump administration's efforts to block the North Korean threat. And this athlete, turning the streets of Vienna into his own personal playground, will show you his heart-stopping, exhilarating ride next in the video. Stay with us, that video and much more coming up straight ahead. Not only is North Korea developing nuclear warheads and the ICBM missiles that could deliver those warheads to strike even the United States, we now learn from the Defense Department that Kim Jong-un may have the ability to deliver a hydrogen bomb within the next 6 to 18 months. Here to assess the North Korean provocations and the appropriate U.S. response, joining us tonight, retired 4-star General Jack Keane, Fox News military analyst. General, great to have you here.
Good to be here, Lou.
I swear, the news just continues to worsen from all of our intelligence analysts and when it comes to North Korea. Now suddenly they have the ability to develop a hydrogen bomb within 6 to 18 months. First of all, that's a huge spread of time, but as early as 6 months, that's indeed troubling.
Yeah, it certainly is. And listen, gone are the days now that we would ever take lightly what North Korea says, because the truth is they have indeed delivered on the things they talk about. They've got medium-range ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles. They're developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they obviously have a capability there as well. So if they say they're about to build a hydrogen bomb, our intelligence services picked that up. Certainly, that's likely the case, and so our viewers understand. Certainly, atomic weapons are alone devastating devices. A hydrogen bomb is just so many times more lethal, where it actually winds up killing millions of people versus tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. And it's a little bit more challenging to put it on an ICBM because it's a heavier weapon, but we got to take it seriously what they're about. And of course, I think it just strengthens our resolve to put on fast forward everything that we're going to do to North Korea short of war, and let's get on with it in terms of what the other countries are doing and ourselves with North Korea, what we intend to do with China, and get tough with China about a policy that means leveraging North Korea appropriately.
6 months away from a hydrogen bomb, with the threats getting nastier and more dramatic from Kim Jong-un, it seems, by the week. What is the time frame here for President Trump to act, as best we can assess?
Well, I think we're kind of out of time, in terms of realistically probably 6 months to a year. And who wants to bet on that scenario? So I'm serious. We got to put this thing on fast forward. And let's stop talking about it, and let's start acting, and let's start trying to get some true results here. And we're going to have to be tough with the Chinese. They've been gaming us. Come on, we know they are. And the Chinese helped them get nuclear weapons. The ballistic missiles that they're developing, that we're watching, look very similar to Chinese ballistic missiles. So they're obviously using their technology. So the Chinese are helping the North Koreans with this capability. At a minimum, they're tolerating it, and if they're going to do anything here, we've got to get them moving in that direction now. Take the gloves off and start dealing with them.
I want to turn to a subset of the problem. It seems to me is that 17 intelligence agencies, spy agencies. We have a special counsel now, General, trying to find out whether or not the Russians hacked our elections in 2016. It just seems to me that our intelligence agencies apparently are woefully inadequate, because shouldn't they be telling us and our Congress whether somebody hacked our elections in 2016, and shouldn't they have already responded to that? And secondly, how is it we're only now learning about the prospect of the North Koreans having a hydrogen bomb in 6 months? What's going on here?
Well, we know that the Russians, tried to interfere with our elections because the intelligence agencies have said that publicly and said that in testimony. So there's absolutely no doubt about that. I think what's disturbing about our intelligence agencies is that other classified information just continues to be leaked to the media. The American people don't have a right to know everything. They have a right to know some things, to be sure, but they don't have the right to know everything. We've got to keep some of those secrets so we can leverage and take advantage of that information for the sake of our own national security. And it's appalling, some of the things that are happening here.
And again, to the issue of the Russians, wouldn't you think 17 agencies would know whether or not the Trump folks had colluded with the Russians in 2016, and instead we have a special counsel trying to find that out? I mean, it's like everything is suddenly, and when it comes to intelligence, upside down. Secrets are being shared through leaks by nearly, seemingly every agency from every quarter.
Well, I think we've known that answer for some time. It's not been told to the American people, to be sure, but given all the unmasking that took place of Trump officials, there's hundreds of these, where you even have the UN ambassador, Samantha Powers, close to 200 unmasking. She has no justification for something like that. Those answers are out there. And they're obvious. That if there was collusion, it would be all over the media. The fact is, it's likely there's never been any, or we would have that answer by now.
A very good point, General. As always, General Jack Keane. Great to have you with us.
Yeah, good talking to you, Lou.
Please roll the video. A stuntman tackling the streets of Vienna on two wheels. Wow. The streets and the stairs. Watch as he bolts through the streets, backflipping over that ramp, riding backwards on one wheel, even taking his bike for something of a dip. That's something of a dip. When asked what motivates him, he responded, "I just want to have fun." Well, I have to say, he's got a pretty high threshold for fun. Up next, stocks hit record highs, a strong jobs report, two companies announcing plans to hire thousands of American workers and build a new plant in America. Former presidential candidate Steve Forbes takes up the booming Trump economy and more. Here next. Stay with us. The president's jobs agenda. A boost, a big one from Toyota and Mazda. Just as the president promised, the car makers announcing a plan to build a $1.6 billion plant in America, creating 4,000 more American jobs. That plant will manufacture Toyota Corollas and a new Mazda crossover expected to open in 2021. Location yet to be decided. For more now on the booming Trump economy and the possibility of tax cuts, we're joined by Steve Forbes, Forbes Media Chairman, Editor-in-Chief. Yesterday in West Virginia, the president was absolutely sensational. Obviously, the crowd is in love with the president and his agenda. It continues, and he gets stronger and stronger as his term in office extends.
Well, that's why he's got to eventually, in the next few weeks, after this recess, after Labor Day, make a nationwide address, as Reagan did, and emphasize the need to get a big tax cut done right away, make it retroactive, and wire and email your congresspeople to do it. Reagan won the public opinion. Reagan said the way you change minds or move things on Capitol Hill is through the heat of public opinion. You're not going to do it.
During the Cadillac Made to Move clearance event, you can take advantage of exceptional offers on a 2017 Cadillac Escalade.
Move things on Capitol Hill through the heat of public opinion. You're not going to do it through sweet reason saying, please, Mr. Speaker, move on this. He's talking about year end. You say, now, get it on my desk.
Reagan, as you know, famously saying, make them feel the heat if they don't see the light. This gang, the GOP leadership in both the House and the Senate, they don't get anything, and they don't see much.
Well, the rank and file do not, after next year's elections, want to become Uber drivers. They will put pressure on the leadership, get this done.
Or do any other form of honest work, is what you're saying.
Hey, I'll take a big tax cut. If you get this economy really roaring, you're starting to see the beginnings of it now, covers a multitude of sins and allows you to do other big things.
The sins, though, at this point are pretty profound. We are watching Mitch McConnell and Speaker Ryan permit the special counsel to just run over this administration. It's gone well beyond its charter, expanded its mission, has massive conflicts that were obvious from the very beginning, and we see the Republican Party basically sitting on the sidelines saying, good luck, Mr. President.
The town is not known for its courage, and that's why if you get a big victory, look, Bill Clinton, put aside what he did, he survived because he had a booming economy. Richard Nixon in the 70s didn't because he had a lousy economy. If you get this economy where people really feel it, then the Trump can do what he needs to do with on almost anything, Mueller or anything else. Well, people don't care if they feel their lives are getting better. Bottom line.
People do sense that, and we've got over $4 trillion in market cap that's been added since this president was elected. Over 1 million jobs created. We're watching plants come back to this country just as this president singularly said would happen. And we're watching these jobs come back from overseas. Yet, he's not getting the credit he deserves from any quarter, including, and really, especially, from the Republican Party that are looking to be really a gathering of jackals on Capitol Hill.
Well, you've got a problem with the establishment, so you outflank the establishment. They've got to do a real effort on outside groups, getting social media in. You've got all these instruments. They haven't used them yet. They got to use them now. And so you don't fight by the establishment's rules. You create your own new rules. You do that in business. You got to do it in politics. And I hope with the changes in the White House, they'll get a real communications effort where they get their message out and they start putting that heat and light on Capitol Hill.
And I hope they bring in some just savage, street-smart, junkyard dogs as attorneys to protect this president and to tear up the folks who are trying to subvert this president. That's just a personal wish. Steve Forbes.
Use the tools. They're there.
Good to see you, partner.
Good to see you.
Have a great week.
Hello, friends, and thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you. Freedom of speech is under attack. The elites and radical left are trying to stifle and squash our right to say what we want. They're going after Fox News, Sean Hannity, and others in his network trying to silence them. These same elites and radical left are now going after alternative channels like Not Fake News. Recently, left-leaning big companies like Verizon and AT&T and a long list of others got together and held a boycott against YouTube, saying they didn't want their advertisements on videos like ours. What's wrong with our videos? Well, YouTube responded on March 27, 2017 by cutting the money of creators like Not Fake News by a whopping 95%. Friends, I don't have to tell you what happens to a business that doesn't have an income. And that's exactly what they wanted. They want us to stop making videos. They want to kill your right to hear the truth. What's next if they succeed? Burning books in the library? I just heard they stopped and banned Milo Yiannopoulos' book Dangerous on Amazon for a while. I mean, what's next? Burning the books in the library? What are we doing? Who will you go to for the real news if Fox is silenced and alternative channels are forced gone? Well, if we're gone, they're forced out. Will you go to CNN? Will you go to ABC? Will you go to NBC? Do you believe anything they say anymore? Don't let them kill your freedom of speech. The only way for alternative channels like Not Fake News to survive is through small donations from loyal viewers like you. YouTube can take their money. Big companies, they can pull their damn ads. But if every one of our subscribers gave $1 or $5 or $10 a month, they would never, ever be able to stop us. Freedom of speech, folks, is truly under attack. Please support this channel, Not Fake News. Go to patreon.com/notfakenews. The link is in the description below. You are the resistance if you're listening to this transmission.